Hello and welcome to episode 22 of There's Still Time, the AFTN Podcast. I'm your host Michael McCall and I'm joined as always by my co-host Steve Pander.
Hello Michael, how's it going?
It's going better now than I thought it was going to be, up to 75 minutes of the game this afternoon.
Yeah, that was quite a 3-minute barrage there of goals, a 2-3 minute barrage.
It was fantastic, probably the best 2 or 3 minutes of MLS play that we're going to see anywhere, I think, in the league all season.
Oh, just not live, right? Is it anywhere?
Yeah, just anywhere.
Wow.
I just think it was fantastic entertainment. It was just thrills. There was defensive mix-ups, some cracking goals. Our favourite anti-hero, Will Johnson, scoring. So we'll come to all that over this podcast. As we said, it's episode 22, 2-2. Very apt, actually, that we're doing this since the game finished 2-2. Just what's your initial thoughts on the game, Steve?
Well, for the Whitecaps, I think it was a very good start. Actually, in a way, in the first 10 minutes, they showed more desperation than they showed during the entire RSL match, I think.
That really wouldn't be hard, though.
No, it wouldn't be. But they held on to the ball. It was good possession. They dominated possession the first 10 minutes. And then slowly Portland started controlling the ball, started bringing the play back to them. And they were able to get that Darlington Nagbe goal before the break, and that was a huge goal at that time. Really big mix-up by the defense, especially YP Lee. I don't know what he was doing on that one.
Yeah, let's have a look at that goal. To me, I put all the blame on Lee. Maybe have to go home and watch it again, but my initial thoughts, and from watching the replay, Lee just gave Nagbe so much time and space. I know it was Ousted that his kick out to start with to Johnson, it didn't go very far. It was a really bad kick. But then you've got Lee giving Nagbe so much space, allowing him to turn and just backing off him and just letting him get the shot off. And what is Lee doing in the middle of the park?
I know I think he was following Nagbe on his run from the wide side, but I think somebody else should have stepped up on that when they saw Nagbe being able to break free.
It was a great goal. It was a great finish. It gave Ousted no chance. But you just cannot, in a crunch game like that, a big derby game, where when there's playoff points, Cascadia Cup, hopes on the line, you just cannot back off players like the way that he did.
And Ousted, I was very surprised by Ousted's clearance. It was like, could be very much his worst ever clearance. Barely got through he barely has to put a kick in order to get it to the halfway line, and he usually bombs it even past that. He had a good run up to it too. A lot of people on Twitter blaming Davidson for passing back. That's obviously the typical backlash on Davidson.
He's the scapegoat all season for some people.
I will admit I'm not the biggest fan of his, and yes, there was Harvey apparently on the left side in the open space, but still most of the blame has to go to Ousted on that and to start that started the whole play, and then obviously Lee with the poor defensive play, but then Nagbe with a great finish. Doesn't really help Omar Salgado with that finish, but it was a great finish by Nagbe, cutting to the right and then shooting it into the left side of the net.
Yeah, I tweeted out at half-time that the Timbers 2011 number 1 pick in the Super Draft won. Every single other Whitecaps draftee, nil. Yeah. And I still think we should have taken Nagbe, and I know he didn't want to come and play in Canada, but then we just kind of sort that out.
We've heard that he said he wasn't going to play in Vancouver. He didn't say that. He said he didn't want to play, but if he was picked, he would have came to Vancouver. We've heard that from a couple of people. Ultimately, that's water under the bridge now.
There's no point looking back at that. Now, one of the other things I tweeted out at half-time was I was asking people for when they thought the first substitution would be made. And there's a few people tweeting back that they actually thought Camilo should be taken off, which I thought was crazy. Yes, he wasn't having a good game, but he's a player that at any moment can just spring into life and actually be a game changer. And that's what we saw. It didn't really look like anything was going to be happening, and then he comes back with that free kick in the 76th minute, 1-1.
Well, obviously the foul was a legitimate foul. I thought he was definitely fouled on that. And
I can't even remember the foul. I just was so caught up in everything that happened afterwards.
He was trying to go up and down, and then we saw on the replay. You couldn't tell initially, but on the replay you could tell it did graze off one of the defenders in the wall.
Yeah, definitely was deflected.
And that I think if it hadn't been deflected, it probably would have been stopped by Ricketts. But luckily the deflection happened. It went in. Yeah,
game changer.
Big time.
Could he still even be a season changer? But we'll come to that later in the show. And like BC Place erupted,
Yeah.
Camilo went nuts and celebrating, everyone was happy. We found it really hard not to give out a big cheer in the press box. And it was great. And then seconds later, 2-1 down. And Portland scored seconds after I said to you, watch this, Portland's going to go up the pitch to score now.
He did say that, folks. He's not making that up.
It just was written all over it because you just sensed something like that was going to happen.
I still don't recall how Nagbe got into his position on the
No,
right side
I
of the
know.
box, but once he got there, I thought it was just horrendous the way, like Harvey I can understand going for the block and everything like that.
I mean, Harvey had to commit himself and
Yes.
go for it.
But DeMerit, I wasn't sure what he was doing because they both went sliding in
Yep.
for the block. What happened there, obviously, because DeMerit left his central position, Davidson had to drop back a little bit and collapse, and which gave Will Johnson so much space. Now, the one thing I will say about Davidson, and this is the one where I got upset about him at the Voyagers Cup, once again, and he did it again against Houston as well. He put his hands behind his back, trying to go for the block, and then turned his body sideways. Again, I don't know the proper procedure on how to block up a shot, but you would
I have to say, I would be doing anything to get out of the way, but I'm a big wuss.
Yeah, but you think you'd have to be as wide as possible instead of being narrow and then giving him more space. Now, I don't know if he stayed wide or like face on with the shot, if he would have blocked it. I'm not sure. I couldn't tell from that angle. But it was just irritating to see him do that again. I'm not blaming Davidson on that. Anybody who wants to tweet us, not blaming Davidson. It was just an irritating thing for me. I think obviously that one was, I think DeMerit should not have overcommitted to Nagbe with Harvey.
No, I mean, to me it was more calamitous defending. You had, as you say, Harvey, you can kind of forgive him, but if you're going to slide in, you at least have to get close to the ball. We didn't even seem to get close to it, and Nagbe then just cut back. Then you've got DeMerit, whatever the hell he was doing, sliding in as well, and as you say, leaving space in the middle. But then after Johnson got the shot off, which was a great strike, Carlisle Mitchell, who is blocking Osted, so Osted can't get a decent view. So that's fair enough. You don't mind the keeper getting blocked if the guy that's blocking him actually gets in the way of the ball. Osted's got no chance. He sees it too late. It's nestled in the bottom corner, and Osted was going absolutely nuts at that. And after it went in, I was saying, right, let's see who was at fault there. And then you watch it, and it's like, oh, lots of people. No wonder he's going nuts.
Yeah, it was a total calamity on that. But then, little time we have to wait again for the next goal, which was absolutely brilliant.
Spectacular. It's
was.
It's going to be up there with goals of the season. I don't know if it's even the Whitecaps goal of the season, because we've had a couple of crackers.
Yeah.
Kenny Miller, Herzog, Kobayashi.
No, it was a brilliant goal. Maddox made that run. He at halftime he made a switch to play more wide instead of playing centrally. I noticed that a little bit. He made more
which
runs
was good
wide.
because I thought it was completely ineffective in the first half.
And he made that cross. I'm not sure if he meant to do it all the way across the box, but
he overhit that.
He overhit that a little bit, and then YP Lee made a great one-touch cross back into the middle. Camilo, absolute brilliant scissor kick.
Beautiful.
If that goal happens in England or Europe or something like that, it'd be all over the highlight reels. It'd be the opening goal or opening montage of goals of the day or whatever.
I haven't seen all the goals obviously from this week yet, but that you've got to think it's going to be a goal of the week winner, contender. Although Portland fans will probably rig it again, and Will Johnson will win it or something.
Well, more
or Darlington Nagbe.
Nagbe was more. Yeah.
We could possibly have all 4 goals up for goal of the week, but we'll see about that. Now we talked about Matix there. Let's have a quick discussion about the lineup. I knew Kenny Miller was going to be out. It was kind of obvious to anyone if you read between the lines that Miller wasn't going to make it. And Mike Martinegro tweeted out before the game that could even be that Miller's done for the season.
Yeah,
which is going to be like a crucial blow to the Caps.
Weber afterwards retweeted him back and then said that he ran into Miller, and Miller said that he was trying to hopefully be ready for Seattle match. So maybe Mike's got some inside information, and Kenny doesn't want to let that out in order to give Seattle.
Well, Miller's an
advantage.
experienced guy. He knows what he can say and what he shouldn't say, and especially to media guys, and especially someone like Mark Weber, who's like the main media guy here, really. If you're playing the Martin Rennie Rings the Changes prediction game, 3 was the magic number this week.
Excellent.
So congratulations to everyone that had that. And the 3 changes were Matix coming in for Heinemann up front. Let's look at that one first of all. Anyone listening to this knows I'm not a fan of Mattix. I still would have traded him in April. I'd still trade him now. I was surprised after the game, Martin Rennie's comments praising him and his work rate and said he did well. I didn't think he did. I thought he had a shocker.
Well, there were times when he was running hard. Of course, there was that one time around the 63-minute mark or
63rd or 64th minute. So I was going to bring that up because that annoyed me so much. Yeah. Camilo plays the ball through to him. Mattix just stands there, doesn't even chase it, and Camilo's just standing there going, "What you doing, man?" And
then Mattix was pointing to the linesman saying he was going to call offside, but
he wasn't. There was no way he was.
But you don't do that. You just play until the
because who else was going to get the ball? No one.
He could have even if it was if he was complaining, Mattix was complaining it was hit too fast. Mattix should have the speed enough to grab that ball before it hits the end line, maybe cross it back into the middle.
I mean, we moan about Camilo not passing, and then he does last week, and Rio Coker messes the chance up. He passes today, and Mattix can't even be bothered going to it. Yeah. And after that, Camilo turned to the bench as if to say, "Come on, what's going on with this guy?" Yeah. So that was one of the changes. I don't think he had the impact that some are saying he did.
I think he did. I kind of disagree with you. I wouldn't say he did run hard at times.
I'm maybe just clouded here.
Yeah, I
think
if that 63-minute incident didn't happen where he did hold up, I think you would have probably changed your mind a little bit. But I think that minute, that one play is still sitting in your head ahead of anything else. He did come a couple of times as well, and I actually remember because I was actually shocked that he came all the way back and played defensively a couple times.
Actually, I will give that towards the end of the game, the one where Osted came out. I can't remember who the Portland player was, and Osted's like tackling him on the sideline. Yeah. The person that then got the ball was Mattix. So I'll give credit where credit's due there. He did well there. Now, when I saw the lineup, I actually thought Martin Rennie was trolling me because he had Kobayashi in the lineup as well. And I'm thinking, I was looking around. I thought Ashton Kutcher's going to be here. I'm going to be punked, but it turned out it was real. Kobayashi played. Again, he did nothing for me. He was just ineffective.
Yeah, he didn't have the same the good thing was he played in centrally, so he had a chance to be impactful. But there wasn't nothing there. They were playing. Well, we should talk about the formation. It was a 4-4-2. It looked like.
I'm not sure what the hell it was. To be honest with you,
well, it looked like a 4-4-2 diamond. Something that they played against last week, and obviously Rio Coker liked the system so well he convinced Rennie to play it. And so, I thought the system worked well. Like I said, the first 10 minutes it really worked well. And Kobayashi did show something the first 10 minutes, but then after that, Portland took over and they barely touched the ball. He was playing behind the strikers, and we'll have to maybe see some of the replays again. But I don't think he provided too much to the strikers. It was more Rio Coker providing the service. So it was. I think Kobayashi was again ineffective. I agree with you on that one.
And then the final change is Watson was in, and the players dropped Coffey and Tybert.
Yeah.
Now,
I think Watson came in for Kofi.
Yeah, Watson's a hard worker. I don't mind that because I think Kofi's been playing terrible.
Yeah,
we said it last time. He's still in the DM mindset and he can't seem to shake that. And I'm fine that it was dropped. I have no issue with that at all.
The only, like I said, the only issue I would have had out of the three would be you. I know you had issues with two of them. I would have only issue with one of them was Tybert. Tybert, I thought was one of the better players against RSL. That's not easy. I mean, hard to say that he was one of the better players because they were all not that great, but he did get the one chance on net, and I thought he made some good runs, and you're always going to get an honest effort from the guy too.
Well, yeah, you'll get that, but I just think he's lost it at the moment. I don't think he. I mean, they were talking in the pre-game show. It was interesting how he needs to work in the off-season on having another foot, and he does because he's just not made an impact. Well, I have no problem with him dropping out the team either because he's not been playing good. But the problem we have is no one else is good to come in.
He showed that foot in Seattle. And maybe it was just a one-off situation, but he did show it in Seattle in the away game.
Well, let's hope he shows it again on Wednesday.
Yeah, hopefully he does it again. Maybe they need that turf again to play on to show it.
Now, you mentioned Rio Coker there, and Rio Coker was very animated with Martin Rennie just before the second half started. I don't know if people have seen that. If you're at the game, you probably won't have. I just happened to be going to get a tea and I noticed that it was on the screen. He was basically telling Rennie what he needed to what the team needed to be doing, how they should be playing. And Rennie wasn't saying too much back. It was mostly Rio Coker talking and Rennie nodding. But you noticed when I was away something about Rennie.
Rennie, and I maybe he's done this in the past. I never noticed, but 6 minutes before the second half was supposed to kick off, he was walking to the bench by himself. And usually the players come about 3 minutes to go. So it was strange to see. And Rennie was actually sitting on the bench by himself.
I thought he was possibly looking around, taking the atmosphere in for one last time.
Well, it could have been also that. It also could have been that maybe he left the players to talk amongst themselves.
That's what I think he did. I think he was like, I've told you all I've wanted to tell you, because he probably really let rip at them. Because they really did need a rocket up them. And I think he did, because they came out all guns blazing. Yeah. But I think he did say to the players, you talk amongst yourselves, you sort out what you're going to do.
Yeah.
Now, I was going to actually ask Rennie about that after the game, but I forgot. So, before we go any further with our stuff, let's hear a little bit from the Caps post-game. So we'll hear from Martin Rennie and Jay DeMerit.
Yeah, obviously, I'm the coach of the Whitecaps, but first and foremost, before I was ever that, I was a soccer fan, and I still am a soccer fan. And tonight, you just saw an unbelievable game. I've watched soccer and been involved in it for a long, long time, and it's no wonder we pack BC Place out almost every time we have a game, because there's games like that consistently, and tonight probably topped it all. Obviously, we're disappointed that we didn't get the win, but it was an unbelievable game. At the end, the saves that Ricketts made, the double save from Camillo, and then the save from Kakuta was really top class save. But I was really proud of our players tonight. I thought we started the game really well, really brightly. I thought we had a 15-minute spell at the end of the first half, which we weren't as good as we would have liked to have been. But really, second half, I thought we played some really exciting stuff. And I think when you see, young players, Darren Maddox, Kakuta, Russell, those kind of players making a big impact on the game, it's exciting, and you can see why the Whitecaps fans make such a difference to our game here. You can see why they're buying all their season tickets again, because they've seen some unbelievable soccer here, and now we need to knuckle down and get results in these last 3 games. But that keeps us alive, and a couple of moments there it seemed like we might be all dead. We've got a team here that's very close to being a really good team. It's not quite there yet, but it's not far away, and moments like that definitely make you happy to be involved in soccer again, because those are really what we come out to watch games for. That's what we want to be a part of, is goals like that, excitement like that, attack and play like that. And tonight both teams contributed to it. Really an excellent game, a fantastic spectacle, and another top Cascadia Cup game.
Yeah, if I was sitting in the stands, I think I would be going home a pretty happy fan. But unfortunately for us, their keeper makes 2 world-class saves. I mean, they should be making a statue of Donovan Ricketts in Portland right now, because he's definitely kept them in it, which is disappointing for us, because that was a game that we should have taken 3 points. But credit to them, credit to the keeper for making big saves, credit to our guys for coming back and showing character, not only from last week, but from going down today. Camilo again shows his class, why he's in the All-Star team this year. So overall, very exciting game for everyone involved, but. And to be fair, a point gain for us, but that makes the next 3 for us, crucial. Overall, we're happy with the point. Happy to come away with at least a bit of character and a bit of our heads held high going into Wednesday. But that makes Wednesday, a must-win game.
So some interesting comments there. Martin Rennie's press conference would probably have been very different. He seemed to enjoy the game.
Yeah.
If we hadn't got those 2 goals, I'm not really sure what the mood would have been like in there. But
he was definitely selling season tickets at the end.
Yeah, that was interesting. DeMerit's comments. There's a couple of things in that. You liked his comments about Donovan Ricketts first of all. So let's start on that, because it was more an upbeat comment.
Well, he was mentioning that how they should build a statue for him, and
he should, because he's been outstanding.
And he said that they're in the playoff picture because of him, basically based on the whole season, and that's true. Like we had Slamo on the roundtable, and he was mentioning that it was like 18 to 20 points that Ricketts has saved for the Timber. So you got to assume that they wouldn't be in the playoff picture at all if it wasn't for Ricketts.
I spoke to Will Johnson and Donovan Ricketts after the game, and we'll hear that audio in a little bit. But yeah, think Ricketts has been outstanding for them this season. Now, Jay was saying after the game that if he was a fan in the stands, that he'd be going home a happy fan. And I know what he's meaning from an entertainment point of view, but no fan should be going home happy that we dropped 2 points at home in a vital playoff game where we needed a win against a Cascadian rival and a playoff conference rival. I mean, I don't know, am I just being too harsh on him because I'm in a grumpy mood? Or should fans in this city be demanding more and going home upset that we haven't won that game?
I still think it's because this team's in its infancy, that a lot of the casual fan who have just been turned on to football are not going to be as demanding as if it was, let's say, a Canucks team or a hockey team or a Lions game.
No, I know.
So it's in its infancy, and that's you're going to definitely based on some of the tweets we're already getting, where the hardcore fans that are definitely upset about this draw, and they would rather have a win at this point.
Yeah, and it's something, we had this discussion, I wrote about it on AFTN during the week. We had a discussion on the Southsiders forum about it. I understand that the Whitecaps are not ingrained in people here yet, the way that back in the UK, like teams, you grow up watching them from an early age, you're a fan, it's ingrained in you, and you go home at the weekend in a really bad mood, kick the cat. I don't have a cat, usually find one to kick. Shout at the wife, she's used to that now, she goes and locks herself in the bedroom. And I hope one day the Whitecaps will get to that stage where wives are shouted at and cats are kicked.
No, understandable. And so, should we go over some of these tweets that we got?
We put a tweet out asking for some comments on the game. So I'll read a couple to start with. Peter Wilkins, at Wilkins Peter on Twitter, says, perhaps this was an individual performance rather than a team one, which is why we're out of the playoffs. So he already thinks we're out of the playoffs.
And then Morbidal sent a tweet saying, based on a website, I can't remember to see the website, sportsclubstats.com, Whitecaps now have a 3.269% chance of making the playoffs.
Which seems low considering when we look at the scenarios, which we'll look at later on towards the last segment of the show. But it kind of also just shows you we're in a really dire mess.
Yeah.
Shane Monkman, S. Monkman on Twitter, says it's October and the coach still doesn't know who his best 11 are. That sums it up right there. And it does. It's like he's made so many changes this season that I know he's got injuries to contend with, and he's going to say there's lots of injury problems, but you have to know your best 11. And that 11 that started today, that's not the best 11.
No, it wasn't.
And it's not the best 11 that was available of fit players either.
No, I don't think so. And then we also got Gord Armstrong at his Twitter handles at BBYGord. It's all individual efforts, no system or situational awareness. Movement off the ball is almost non-existent. Which you have to say, and that summed up Darren Maddox thing, where he wasn't making a move and to the right spot at the right time. And there were a lot of instances like that where they were just, and maybe that's what Rio Coker was talking about at halftime too with Rennie. We were talking about that we need more movement off the ball, and that's where we made the subs with Kakuta and Rod Tybert.
Very possibly. So if we get any more before the end of the show, we'll read them out. So for now, what we're going to do is we're going to take a visit to the Portland locker room. And we're just going to hear a little bit from Caleb Porter, because I missed most of his post-game presser from listening to Martin Rennie. And then I had a little chat with Will Johnson and Donovan Ricketts about the game, Camilo's goal, and a few other things. So let's listen to that now.
The game started to open up on that second goal where they leveled it. It's to be expected, obviously, in the second half. Even if they didn't, we knew it was going to be kind of a track meet because they're trying to chase the game. They're going to gamble. They're going to gamble more than any other game all year because they have to win. And you saw that at the end. I mean, they threw caution to win. They're throwing, 6 guys up top. You don't see that in any other games except at the end when teams are fighting for their lives to save their season. And listen, for us to get out of the point when they're doing that and they have a bit of momentum twice, I think is a real credit to our guys on the day.
So, Will, you always really enjoy going to play in Vancouver, it seems?
Yeah.
What did you make of the game?
It's a good game. It's good goals. You can't leave too upset when a guy scores two crackers like that. You take your hat off and you take your point, and we'll go with the glass half full approach and head back home with a point. We're playing a desperate team. They had to win, and they didn't. So I think that's a credit to us.
What happened at the end with Kakutamane? Just heat of the game? Or?
Yeah, just heat of the game. He went down a little easy for my liking, and so I just told him that.
A lot of teams would maybe collapse after they give up a goal, and you guys came back and scored immediately and then were able to hold them. Can you talk about the effort there, and obviously you scored?
Yeah, we faced a lot this year. A lot of people don't remember that we didn't get our first win of the season until I think our 5th game. Maybe it was our 6th even. So we've faced some stuff. We went through a rough patch again not too long ago, August or so. So we faced it. We know it's we're going to get hit sometimes, and when a guy scores a goal like that, you just kind of say, okay, no problem. We'll move on and try and get another one. That's what we do. We don't worry, and I think that's just credit to our guys, the character of our team. We've faced a lot of adversity already throughout the year, and so we lean back on that experience from time to time, and I think tonight was a good example of that.
Obviously, Camilo got 2 pretty amazing goals, but do you think overall the defensive performance from the team was...
Yeah, defense and Ricketts solid again, really solid. It takes 2 world-class strikes to beat us, that's it.
Can you talk a little bit more about Ricketts, if this was one of the
he's the top level this year. He's the best I've ever seen him play. He's been in the league for a long time on good teams, and he's a couple of times a game he makes a big save, and tonight the double save that he made on, I think it was Maddox and Camilo. It's just what he brings to this team, and he's just a different class when he's on his game. And this whole year, his level hasn't dropped from game 1 to game 31. He's been so consistent for us, and you need that. All the good teams in this league have good goalkeepers. Every single team that's in the playoff race has a respectable goalie.
Where'd you get that shiner about your left eye?
That was the play at the end there. That's how it goes.
An outstanding game from you today. What did you make of the game and your impact and the saves in it?
No, it was a good game. We controlled most of the game, but they're playing for their season, so they mounted a spirited comeback, and I think we handled it well on the road, and we came away with a point.
You had some really outstanding saves, really some clutch saves. What is it that's brought your game to a different level this season?
I don't know. I'm with a good team, good coaching staff, good players. Our season is going well, so when things are going well, you play outstanding, and this season has been like a renaissance to me.
Well, what's your thoughts on Camilo's second goal?
Outstanding, world-class goal.
So that was the thoughts of Caleb Porter, Will Johnson and Donovan Ricketts. Will Johnson loves to play the villain when he comes up here. He really likes to wind up the fans. Fans give him a hard time. He's just one of those hate figures that when he plays for his club team, you hate him. When he plays for his country, I still hate him, but it's like other folks cheer him on. Yeah. And one of the things after the game as well is one of the Portland guys asked him where he got his shiner above his eye, and he said it was from the incident at the end of the game, which I can only take to be the little altercation that you had with Manny. I didn't see anything that was likely to have given him a shiner, but we'll maybe need to watch that again in the replay and see what happens with that. But good for Kakutamane. So we got the draw today. DeMerit, when we heard from him earlier, said that the next 3 is crucial for them, which basically every game for about the last 10 have been crucial for them.
Should have been, yeah, especially in the tight race they're in.
Seattle on Saturday night absolutely destroyed by Colorado.
Yeah, that was a shocker.
5-1 final, 4-0 at half time, and that could easily have been 7 or 8-0 at half time. Yeah. The young guys, Dylan Powers and Deshaun Brown, 2 rookies, they were amazing, and the Whitecaps could have picked both of them.
Well, I don't think they would have ever picked Deshaun Brown because he is a similar player to Maddox, and going into this season...
No, he scores.
Yeah, but Maddox scored somewhat last year too. But what I'm saying is that they're similar in their statures and builds and stuff like that, and their traits. So I don't think they would have, because they had high expectations for Maddox. Now Powers is somebody that they could have used, especially in the central midfield. They were lacking that last year as well. So
it's just an awesome name as well. It's just like some kind of superhero. You could have done so much with him from a marketing point of view as well.
And he was a highly rated guy. I think we discussed it but then he stayed for his senior season, and for some reason, if you stay for your senior season, you usually drop in the draft for next year, which is weird.
But Seattle now absolutely hammered. They are going to be out with a point to prove on Wednesday in their next game, and hey, that's against us. That's just what we need. Or is that just what we need? Could they be too eager?
I think
and leave chances at the
so.
back.
The best scenario for the Whitecaps is they come out too fired up, and they maybe overextend themselves or something like that, and maybe the Whitecaps can counterattack and find the holes and attack. And so that's what your best case scenario is. Worst case scenario is actually their ability to be fired up actually works for them, and they bang a couple in quickly, which would totally demoralize this team, because this team, they can say all they want about character and everything like that, but they hang on a thread. And I think Camilo's luck, that I'm not going to say lucky, but somewhat lucky free kick brought them back in the game, and then obviously Camilo again with a shot, but who knows if they were able to do anything. And then that second goal, when they tied it 2-2, then they finally got some belief in themselves. So Seattle fires a couple, one or two quick ones through, and then it could be a situation where they are the teams that are beating up on their opponents.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see how it goes. I don't want to be sounding like overly critical of some of the performances today. No, maybe I do. But what I do want to say here is I do admire the fight and the spirit that they showed to get back into the game. Where was that for the last 5, 6, 7 games?
No, I totally agree with you. It's just been missing. I don't understand it. I think seems like they're a team that's confused on the field, and that confusion is obviously slowing them down in the way they're working to the goal. So I agree with you that where is this stuff consistently, and why can't they keep bringing it at least in portions for every game? Because I guess RSL, it was not there at all, and we both tweeted that out, that the way Colorado performed against Seattle and they played a much better team, Colorado did, is the way Vancouver should have came out against RSL at the B-side team.
I liked your tweet last night when I tweeted out that Vancouver now need 4 wins out of 4. Your reply was that they actually need 5 wins out of 4.
That's what I felt like. They let that. That was basically a shot
I think
at
we
the
definitely
RSL
need
game.
4 wins out of 3 now, the way
exactly.
it's going, and then it might be 3 out of 2 or whatever. The performance that the guys gave today in those last 15 minutes, and whether it was just that they introduced a new blood and it just brought some new life to the team, or they knew they were actually fighting for their lives, that has to surely give them some momentum and some confidence and just something to take with them into the clink on Wednesday night.
I think so. I think they can. Hopefully, they can work on this, and maybe the good thing is the game is only 2 days. It's gonna be on Wednesday. 2 days.
3 days.
3 days later.
Probably 2 days when you hear this podcast.
Training, yes, and so it's gonna be a quick turnaround, and maybe they don't think too much on the training pitch and be able to turn it around again.
I think the problem is we have an awful lot of players that don't think at all, whether it's a training pitch or the proper pitch, and that's what we really, really have to work on in the off season.
Well, I'm not saying that they think well. I'm saying they think too much.
Possibly.
And they're not particularly good at thinking.
So, who would you like to see? What's your starting 11? We'll agree with Olsted, obviously.
Yeah.
Would you keep the same back four as tonight?
I think you have to.
Yeah, I think you have to as well.
No matter what, like we're talking about, we'll just go through a couple tweets. One tweet about the back end, J Lamb at JCF Lamb.
That's LAHM.
Yeah. He mentions how can Harvey been consistently beaten on the left wing more than often. He was too tucked in. Don't they realize that? Now, Harvey, we've noticed that too, even on the Sandoval goal against RSL. We don't understand why. Like, I don't know if he still would have got to the cross, but he was still way too far away from the sideline. There's nothing you could do about that. So Harvey's going to stay in the lineup no matter what.
True.
And then the rest of the guys, Mitchell, and we don't know how O'Brien's back is. He could be still hurting from the whether it's a back or a hamstring.
He did say on Friday, I think it was, that he was fit and ready to go.
Well, it could have been that his back acted up, because when you have a back issue...
I know, yeah, because I woke up this morning, my back was sore.
Yes.
Just want to get sympathy, but yeah, it was. One other tweet is from Shoe Thief at Stuck on the Sofa on Twitter. And Shoe Thief says, and that's a tongue twister, Camilo needs to be a second half sub. Why waste him for the first 60?
Yeah, but the problem is who else are you going to put on the field instead of Camilo at this point?
I know, he's just being funny.
I know he's being funny, but it's just like there's no...
Although the folk at half-time that wanted him taken off, it's like they weren't being funny.
No, they weren't, no.
So, would you go 4-3-3? Would you go 4-4-2 on Wednesday?
I don't know. I think it's too hard to say because really the 4-4-2 didn't really work for them.
No,
whatever they were playing,
4-3-3.
whatever they were playing in those last 15 minutes, they need to do that. I still think
4-1-3-2. I don't know. Sometimes you look at them and you've absolutely no idea what formation they're playing.
I would like them to play two not particularly in the conventional sense, two holding mids, but two mids that will push the ball up with a single guy up there behind those three attacking guys.
Well, I think in the middle we'll see Davidson again. That's a given. We'll see Rio Coker again.
Yeah.
We'll see Camilo again. And that, with the 4 at the back and Osted, that's 8 of our 11.
Yeah.
Who do you give the other 3 to? For me, I'm thinking it has to be Manny. I don't know if I'd play Tybert or not, to be honest, but I think you have to have Manny in there from the start now. Kofi's probably going to come back, so it could be Kofi, Watson and Manny.
Yeah, it could be.
Of course, we've got Matix as well, who may or may not be going to play for Jamaica.
Yeah, he said he's 50-50 on that.
Yeah.
The only thing with Mane is to put him out in that Seattle. It's a big stadium, big event, and everything like that. Does he shy away from that? He's always performed better at home than he has on the road. Actually, I'm not even sure if he played at all on the road.
I know it is a very big game to kind of throw an 18-year-old into.
Yeah.
I do appreciate that, and I've been critical, and Jay Duke on AFTN during the week wrote a great article about the fact that we are not bringing our young guys through and playing our young guys. And I agree with that. We should be getting a lot more out of our draft picks, but the way that they have actually handled Manny and given him slow minutes, that is good, but he should have had a bit more by now. He's still nowhere near the polished finished product or polished article, but I don't know, maybe it would be too much to throw him in.
Yeah. Well, my big thing about, and I didn't make a comment on this on the about that article, I just want to make a quick comment about that, is my feeling is based on other teams and everything, it's also the level of what your star players are or your veteran players are, that they can actually help out the rookies when they're on the field. So if you have good quality veteran players, that you can put your rookies out there and they're not going to be out on an island or anything like that. So I think that's an issue with the Whitecaps, that they don't have those guys to move the rookies along. And you want rookies to be asking questions and young players to ask questions, but you also want your veterans supporting those players on the field as well.
That's very, very true. Now, just before we wrap up, let's look at the run-in for ourselves, San Jose and Colorado. And it's such a weird run-in because we're all pretty much playing each other. I'd kind of forgotten in all this scenario about San Jose, even though I had tipped them to get in the playoffs a few weeks back. San Jose play Colorado on Wednesday when we play Seattle. What do you think the best result is going to be there for us? Draw, San Jose win?
I think a draw would be the best thing. If we could pick up 3 and they pick up 1 each, I don't. I'm just saying if we pick up 3. I'm actually.
I'm writing off Wednesday. I think we're going to lose that. I think we're going to lose it 3-1 or 4-1.
Yeah, I think San Jose has a tougher road after that game.
Well, they've got LA away on the 20th, and then on the 26th they are at home to Dallas. So I think they'll beat Dallas. I think they'll lose to LA.
And if they beat Colorado and then they beat Dallas, that gives them 50 points on the season.
Yeah, just getting the table up just now. So at the moment they're on 44. So let's just say we lose to Seattle and we get 6 points from Colorado. We finish on 48. So if San Jose get a point from Colorado, they're on 45. If they lose to LA
and then beat
Dallas, they're on 48 as well. And then it comes down to differential.
Goals for?
Well, it's wins first of all.
Oh yeah.
It's the most wins. So we would win. We've got the better wins. If we beat Colorado twice, we would beat Colorado and San Jose on wins.
Yeah.
If it then goes down for goals for, we're better than Colorado and San Jose on goals for.
Yeah.
Then the third one is, which it should never ever come to, is then goal difference, where we are like struggling against Colorado.
Well,
but we should be through on the first 2 if we can get what we need to do.
But if we're saying that San Jose and Colorado draw, then Colorado would have 49 points. And so that mucks everything up.
Yes, you are right.
So basically
what I've just said is nonsense.
After all of that, we need to say that they need to beat Seattle.
You know, Morbital was right when he tweeted that out. Like that 3% of us getting in the playoffs, when you kind of start looking at this, yeah, we're kind of screwed. We basically have to beat Seattle.
Yeah, it's
A draw may be good enough, but basically, yeah, we need 9 points out of 9. We need probably 10 points out of 9. Well, I didn't really mean to end the podcast depressing for 2 podcasts on the row. So let's just wrap this up now. 2-2 draw at BC Place today. Doesn't really help the Whitecaps. They really needed 3, but we've still got that little bit of hope to cling on to. Not sure that we're going to get too much out of the game in Seattle on Wednesday. Don't know when our next podcast will be either, but we'll do one after that game, maybe after the in between the Colorado game. Stay tuned, follow us on Twitter. Talking of which, Steve, tell us where we can find you on Twitter.
You can find me at WhitecapsBeat, and also I'm writing for AFTN Canada and Post America.
And you can find me, Michael McCall, at AFTN Canada on Twitter. Send us an email about anything you want at aftncanada@hotmail.com, and read all our stuff on Canadian Soccer News, aftn.ca. So thanks for listening. It's been a tough one today. The vibe's still a little bit depressing. But it's in their own hands. If they can get 3 wins, which is a big if, maybe the season isn't over. Can only hope for the best and see what Wednesday brings. Mon the Caps.